Today I will increase the pension's annual tax-free allowance by 50%, from 40,000 to 60,000. Some have also asked me to increase the lifetime allowance from its £1 million limit. But I've decided not to do that. Instead, I will go further and abolish the lifetime allowance altogether.
Now I'm going to have to write and shoot a video. Hi and welcome back to the channel. My name is Pete Matthew. I'm a chartered financial planner based here in the UK. And in the March 2023 budget, Chancellor Jeremy Hunt pulled out from his big red box some key changes to pensions. There's a whole lot else going on too, but today I want to focus on the pension changes and what they might mean for you. We're going to deal with the annual allowance first and then the lifetime allowance, filling in some gaps that weren't in the speech. But most importantly, I'm going to give you some things that you should think about doing as a result. So the annual allowance first, and this is the maximum that you can add to your pension in any 1 year. With a defined contribution pension, this is the actual physical amount of money that you and or your employer can put into the plan in any 1 year. With defined benefit schemes, it's worked out differently, and here it's more about the increase in benefits that you've built up in the scheme over the course of the year. And the Chancellor put up the annual allowance from £40,000 a year to £60,000 a year, quite a jump. And he made no secret of the fact that this and the lifetime allowance changes are to encourage senior doctors and high earners in the NHS to stick around for longer. The issue really was that doctors were facing tax charges based on their pension contributions, but they had no choice about making those pension contributions. Well, I mean, they could have opted out of the NHS scheme, but nobody does that. So this increase in the annual allowance should stop those tax charges from happening. But of course it benefits other high earners too, and the cynic in me says that these high earners are perhaps more likely to be Conservative voters. The annual allowance is tapered, reduced, if you earn over a certain level of income called the adjusted earnings level. And this is being increased to up to £260,000 a year from £240,000. Now for every £2 of income over the 260 grand a year, the annual allowance is tapered down by £1. And this used to go down all the way as far as £4,000, but now the lowest tapered level is £10,000. So even very high earners can still sock away 10 grand a year into their pension. Now this isn't confirmed, but the maths would suggest that those earning over $360,000 a year will be fully tapered for the annual allowance. And finally, there's the money purchase annual allowance, which is triggered when you take taxable benefits out of a pension. Well, that is being increased to up to £10,000. So what about the lifetime allowance? Well, the lifetime allowance is an overarching maximum amount that you could have in pension savings. And again, the way this is calculated is different for DB and DC pension schemes, but now it doesn't really matter how it's calculated because the Chancellor has abolished the lifetime allowance completely. It will be abolished from April 2024, but there will be no LTA charges in the 2023-24 tax year, which seems a bit weird. If you're not going to make any charges, why not just abolish the whole thing altogether with immediate effect? Really importantly, the amount of tax-free cash you can take from a pension is limited currently to 25% of the lifetime allowance. The lifetime allowance is currently £1.0731 million, and 25% of that is £268,275, and it will stay at this level indefinitely. And this pounds limit to the tax-free cash you can take is staying, even when the lifetime allowance is abolished. Now, for many of you in my audience, these changes to the annual allowance and the lifetime allowance are undoubtedly a positive thing. I had 2 emails from clients within an hour of the budget thanking me for telling them not to stop contributing to their pensions because they were butting up against the lifetime allowance. Okay, before we get into what you should do about all this, I need you to do something for me. First, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. It really helps me out, and it helps you to stay on top of all the changes in the personal finance system by seeing all my videos in your feed. Secondly, check out Meaningful Academy Retirement Planning, which is my online course where I distill all my teaching about how to plan and execute a successful retirement. Of course, I'm going to have to update some of the videos in there now. Thank you, Jeremy. As well as tons of video lessons, there are worksheets, calculators, access to world-leading financial planning software, and best of all, a community of people in similar situations, all looking to help each other out. Head over to meaningfulacademy.com/retirement planning, and if you decide that it's for you, use the coupon code YouTube for a decent discount. Okay, what exactly should you be doing about these changes to the pensions rules? Taking the annual allowance changes first, if you're already contributing the current maximum £40,000 a year to your pension, you should obviously try and contribute up to the new maximum if you can. If you're earning over £100,000 a year, you progressively lose your income tax personal allowance. That's the amount that you can earn before you pay any tax. So that over £125,140, you don't have a personal allowance left and you're paying tax on everything that you earn. But if you make pension contributions, you're bringing your notional income down and that tax is going into your pension instead. If you earn up to £160,000, you could put 60 grand into your pension, bring your taxable income down to £100,000 and get all of your personal allowance back. If you own a limited company and the company pays into a pension for you, it can now put in £60,000 a year for you and save corporation tax at the new higher rate of 25% on that money. If you're a very high earner who had a fully tapered annual allowance, you should definitely revisit your pension contributions. Often these high earners discount paying anything into pensions, as £4,000 a year didn't really feel like it was worth bothering with. Well, I think it was worth bothering with, but £10,000 a year definitely is. If you're taking benefits from a pension and you're now subject to the money purchase annual allowance, you now get a £10,000 annual amount, which is a useful amount of money to put away each year. And that's especially true as money in a pension is not subject to inheritance tax under current rules. Some people take pension benefits but keep working, and they have to perhaps not join their workplace pension in case they fall foul of the money purchase annual allowance. But chances are, with that allowance at £10,000, there will be benefit in joining the scheme and having your cake and eating it. So what should you do now that the lifetime allowance is being abolished? Well, if you've currently stopped paying into a pension because you thought you were going to fall foul of the LTA, then now you don't have to worry. You should definitely consider restarting your pension contributions or increasing them if you're still paying. If you've already breached the lifetime allowance, then you don't have to worry about future tests because it's been abolished. So maybe you've already had an LTA charge and you were expecting more in the future, perhaps at age 75. Well, now you don't have to worry about that. Maybe you could even start paying in again. If you moved your pensions into lower risk and potentially lower growth investments to try and avoid the lifetime allowance, you should definitely revisit that for sure. And if you have any protection for the higher levels of lifetime allowance, these might still be relevant because they lock in a higher level of tax-free cash. But whereas with some protections you couldn't add to your pensions without removing that protection, now you will be able to contribute again after the 6th of April 2023 without affecting your higher tax-free cash level. That's pretty cool. Needless to say, if you're about to crystallize pension benefits in excess of the lifetime allowance, you should wait until after the 5th of April if you can. And that's particularly true if you're in a defined benefit scheme where you usually have to take all your benefits in one go. At least with DC pensions, you could take up to the lifetime allowance and the rest after April the 5th. So, you see, there are some things to think about. I have no idea if the lifetime allowance will be reintroduced by some successive government. Pensions are such a political football, the only thing that stays the same is the constant change. And the changes mean that rich people can sock away 60 grand a year into pensions and currently have that money, which could amount to millions, perhaps over a lifetime, even tens of millions with growth. They can have that money be entirely free of tax when they die. That is one hell of a perk, and one has to wonder how long that will be the case. I mean, the reason I have a job is to understand this stuff and help my clients plan through the changes. Crucially though, you can only plan for the set of rules that are in place currently. Holding off on any decision based on what might happen in the future is just daft. Better to take advantage of what you can in the present, and if things change, well, we'll just roll with it. So if you have any questions on this, leave them in the comments under the video. I will do my very best to answer them. And if there's a call for it, I might do a follow-up with some examples. Let me know if that would be useful. For now though, maybe watch this video next, which will encourage you that retirement is possible and give you the things to think about to make sure that it happens well for you. Thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you in the next video.